Welcome to Module 10. We are in the double digits. That means we are on the home stretch, so that is super exciting. This week, we're going to talk about management by exception and a couple different tools we have. So first, what is management by exception? So imagine we are a plant manager or the plant controller, or really the manager of any business. We're going to have a plan, we're going to have our master budget, and nothing is going to go exactly according to the plan, right? Sales may be a little up, they may be a little down, direct materials costs may be up, labor costs may be down. It's going to be all over the place, right? Because there's no way we will have accurately guessed exactly what every sales level and every cost is going to be. If we get it exact, that means we have some sort of psychic powers. We should buy some lottery tickets. Okay, but let's assume that we're mere mortals and we're not going to be able to do that. So everything's going to be different than the budget, right? Our actuals are always going to be different. And we could spend all day and all night chasing down every single difference, and that's going to drive us crazy, and it's going to drive our employees crazy. Instead, what we do is something called management by exception. So we say, okay, here's our plan, here's our budget, and here's the acceptable range, right? Here's, if it's off by 5%, we don't care. If it's off by 10%, we do care. Whatever it is that we set as our percentages, right? And so then, instead of chasing down every variation, we only go and look into the ones that fall outside of our acceptable range. This allows us to focus on the bigger problems or the ones that might really impact our profitability, and the ones that are smaller and significant, we go, save that for another day, okay? So there's a couple things we're gonna learn about. We're gonna learn about flexible budgets, we're gonna learn about standard costs, and we're gonna use those standard costs to calculate some variances. Let's talk first about flexible budgets. Okay, so we had our master budget, and it said, in April we're gonna sell 50,000 units, and in May we're gonna sell 55,000 units, and in June we're gonna sell 40,000 units, whatever it was, right? It was one level of sales for every month, which is fine, but what the flexible budget allows us to do is it gives us a range. So we'll take that we call that our fixed budget, where we just have one volume, and we're going to say, well, if our budget says that for April we're going to sell 50,000 units, here's what that'll look like. What happens if we sell 45? What happens if we sell 55? What happens if we sell 48, right? We're not going to do this to death, right? Because then we'll make ourselves crazy, but we're going to give ourselves a couple different touch points. Most likely it'll be like, we're expecting to sell 50. What's the least amount we think we'll sell? Okay, we'll probably, we feel really confident we'll sell at least 40. We feel really confident we won't sell more than 60. So maybe those would be our two other touch points. And that way we kind of know what's our revenue going to be, what are our costs going to be, and what will our net income be at those different levels of sales, right? It's also going to keep us from, if we go in one month and we go, oh my gosh, our direct materials costs are up 20%. This is crazy. We got to go do something about it. And then we go back and we look and we go, oh, actually it's because sales are up 20%, right? Well, that makes sense then. That's not a problem. We would expect that direct materials would go up 20% if sales go up 20%. So the flexible budget's going to give us some ranges of what we expect, so that when something doesn't go according to that master budget, we know, like, oh yeah, that makes sense, and we don't have to spend any time on it or lose any sleep. Okay, next we have our standard costs. And standard costs are what it should cost, okay? So we have our product and we have our engineering specs, and our engineer says it's going to cost 2 pounds of material to make this product, right? That is the standard. That's if everything goes right. Well, what if we have a new employee who, messes up a few times, so we're using a little bit of extra material? Or what if we got a new supplier and the material is either better, so we don't need to use as much, or maybe it's worse, and so we're having more scrap, right? Those would be variances from our standard. But the standard is, hey, if everything went perfect, we know it won't, but if everything went perfect, how much direct materials would we use? how much would we pay for those direct materials, right? This is where we go and talk to the purchasing manager, how much are we gonna pay? How much direct labor should we be using? What is our overhead cost going to be? And so we have our standard, and then we'll set, again, an acceptable range. So if it comes out, 5% off of standard, maybe we don't care. 10%, I don't know, maybe we care, maybe we don't. If it's 50% off standard, we are pretty much almost always going to care, okay? So now we'll have our range and say, hey, if direct materials comes in, within 8% of standard, don't bother me. Anything more than that, get a report on my desk so I can start looking into what that is. All right, and so with those standard costs, we are going to come up with variances, and that's basically comparing our actual costs to the standard. So we say, okay, our product was supposed to cost us $10 to make. It actually cost $15. Okay, so our variance would be 5 because the actual is 15, the standard was 10. And then we're going to break that down into like direct materials variances, direct labor variances, overhead variances, so we know who to go talk to, right? If it's the problem in the direct materials, then we want to talk to you, the purchasing manager. If it's a price or quality issue, we want to talk to the production manager if it's things aren't getting used efficiently, right? If there's a direct labor variance, then again, the production manager, maybe someone in HR, maybe it's as simple as we had a holiday or something. And with a holiday, maybe we had to pay time and a half, or maybe we had a rush order and we had to have people work overtime. Same thing with variances, right? Maybe rent went up and all of a sudden we're like, ooh, why did fixed overhead go up? Well, it's because that's right. We agreed in our lease agreement that our rent would go up on the first of the year, whatever. But the variances are going to allow us to see when we are spending more or less, sometimes it's less, than what our standard was, what it would look like in a perfect world. So I just want to really clarify, the standard is probably never gonna happen. The master budget is never gonna happen, but it should be close, okay? There's no way without a crystal ball we know exactly what it's gonna cost us or exactly how many units we're gonna sell. Our goal is to have something to start with. Hopefully we'll get close, and then to have that acceptable range of, ooh, this, if it's less than 10%, I'm not worried about it. If it's more than 10%, maybe I am. And that's gonna be something that you within your company will have to decide, what is the acceptable range, and above or below that, when do you wanna know, so you can go have some conversations, okay? So that's what we're gonna do. This is really, really useful if you are managing a lot of different processes or a lot of different departments, because you just don't have time to micromanage anything, and that will make your employees very sad anyway. So this is gonna help us to decide each day when we come in, where am I gonna spend my time? Who am I gonna talk to? What am I gonna go look at? All right, so let's dive in. We've got some great worksheets. If you are able to, if you have a printer available, please print them out. Follow along. This is going to be another one where you're going to want to write not only the answer, but where'd you get it? How did we come up with these things? Write your formulas in, and that's going to be really, really helpful to you. All right, so let's get to it.